Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Pregame Show. It's a Monday morning edition of the Pewter Pregame Show as the Bucs and the Lions are playing on Monday Night Football later tonight at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time or wherever you are watching. Shout out to everybody that is joining the show this morning in the comments. Hopefully you had a fantastic weekend. And we have a lot of time to break down Bucs versus Lions this morning. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is the face that runs the place at pewterreport.com, SR, Scott Reynolds. And before we get down to Bucs versus Lions, we do have to talk about something else first, and that is the unfortunate and very sad passing of former Bucs running back Doug Martin. We just want to send our condolences, our heartfelt apologies, and give all of our sympathies to Doug Martin and his family. A very sad loss to see yesterday at the age of 36 years old. So rest in peace, Doug Martin, and very sorry for his loss.
Yes, some highs for Doug Martin and obviously some lows, and this is certainly the ultimate low. He had some tragedy in his life that hopefully he is at peace with now, and is in heaven getting comforted, and has the afterlife we all want, and that is peace, love, joy, harmony, all of those good things. And certainly a big loss for the Buccaneer fan base. The Buccaneer franchise itself had some great moments for Tampa, and in some of those years, he was maybe the lone bright spot on offense, and brought a lot of joy to a lot of people. So hopefully his afterlife is a joy-filled one, because it was an ending too soon for his life or anyone's life at age 36.
Yeah, so true. And an incredible rookie season. I think a lot of Bucs fans and people that think of Doug Martin, one of the first things that comes into my mind is that game against at the time, the Oakland Raiders.
That's right.
That huge rushing performance and
his return home.
Yeah, that too. So Doug Martin is part of the Bucs history,
no doubt,
with some great moments. So you can't talk about the Bucs, even though it wasn't the best era for that team. You can't talk about those Bucs teams without talking about Doug Martin. So some sad news to begin the show. Very surprising news as well.
Yeah, and this franchise has suffered some body blows in that area. Of course, Vincent Jackson passing before the age of 40, Mike Williams as well. There's a picture that went around social media that had all three of those players celebrating together, and they're all gone. And so it's very sad indeed. But our hearts go out to Doug Martin's family and his friends and the franchise and the fans, because this was a tough loss yesterday for a lot of Buccaneer fans. Hopefully a tough win can help everybody, tonight. And this game, Matt, is it almost feels like this. I've never believed that the NFL is scripted, but this seems like the Buccaneers are having a script written for them, right? I mean, it's like each week, it's like, oh, the Buccaneers have a chance to do this. Oh, the Buccaneers have a chance to do that. It's like, oh, the Buccaneers have a chance to finally beat the 49ers. And they do, and now they're on top of the NFC. And oh, by the way, here's the team that had the best record in the NFC last year, 15-2,
right?
The Detroit Lions. And here's an opportunity for them to go up there and get maybe another win up in Detroit, as they did last year in week 4, week 2, 20-16 win, very hard fought win. Bucs red zone defense came to play. They won the turnover battle 2-1 in that game. That was huge. They picked up Jared Goff early in that game, and it's a crazy script, Matt, because the Lions secondary, all 5 of them in nickel defense, none of the starters will be playing tonight.
Yeah, I'm expecting a big time performance from Baker Mayfield because of that. And on top of that, it's not just that the Detroit Lions are going to be missing all of their starters and have a lot of backups in there, but the Bucs are also getting some reinforcements in the wide receiver room as well. It's going to be the reemergence of Mike Evans coming back to the lineup for the first time since week 3. So that's already an immediate boost. And if that wasn't exciting enough, we had a nice surprise on Saturday going out to practice, seeing Emeka Egbuka actually participating, warming up with the team, had a helmet in hand. Now, again, when we're out there, it's a lot of just stretching, calisthenics, and special teams work. So didn't really see him running a lot of routes and stuff like that. But there's a legitimate chance that Emeka Egbuka plays in this game as well. He is questionable for this game with a hamstring injury, but to see him actually practice on Saturday, we'll see if he's on a pitch count, how much he plays. But to get Evans and a returning Egbuka, I know he played that game, but he didn't play the second half. I mean, all of a sudden, the Bucs are as equipped as they've been really since the season opener.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, we'll see. We'll see if this is a wise move. We do believe Evans is going to play. All indications are that. I've heard that as well. And Egbuka will be a game time decision. And that's going to be hey, we'll see. We'll see you out there running routes, going at full speed at pregame. And if you are good to go and there's no pain and you're adequately warmed up, then we'll give it a go. And like you said, Matt, we'll see what type of pitch count he'll be on too. Because it's not like this wide receiver core is bare.
Sure.
And I tell you, Matt, this is a game, and I don't want to seem too arrogant or cocky about this from the Buccaneers standpoint, but this is a game where Brian Branch is suspended. Kirby Joseph, their leading interceptor, top playmaker according to Baker Mayfield, 3 interceptions this year. He's out with a knee injury. They're starting cornerbacks. DJ Reed is on injured reserve. Terrion Arnold, the first-round pick, is out. Ennis Rekestraw is out. There's actually 5 defensive backs on injured reserve. And Rock Yassin, their other starting corner, he might have to play safety tonight next to Thomas Harper. So their whole secondary is in complete disarray, is nothing but backups. Again, you don't want to get too haughty about this whole situation, but it almost feels like the way Baker Mayfield's playing, you might go up there with Sterling Shepard and Mike Evans and Cam Johnson and Tez Johnson and Ryan Miller and actually feel pretty good about your chances, even if Emeka Egbuka doesn't play.
You're absolutely right, especially with how everyone you just mentioned played last game. I think it instilled the confidence in someone like Tez Johnson, who didn't really have a grand impact as a receiver up until that moment. They had started feeding him the ball a little bit more. And Cameron Johnson, too, with his way to get open. Knowing that you're going to have Mike, let Mike be that deep guy, have Cameron Johnson underneath, or Sterling Shepard, or Tez Johnson, whatever the case may be. So I'm with you. Of course, with the reemergence of Cade Otton as well as a receiving tight end, I do think even if you didn't have Emeka Egbuka, Baker Mayfield would still be able to do what he wants to do. Because, again, having Josh Grizzard, having an offense that he played in last season, he's calling all the right plays at the line of scrimmage as well. So the football IQ of Baker Mayfield is as much of a reason to have confidence in him and this offense as much as really anything else that we could talk about today.
That's right. Yeah. Let's take a look at the injury report. We've mentioned some of those names about who's out and who's in and who might be in. And let's get the official look here. Brought to you by Jorgensen Law Personal Attorneys. You can visit them at jorgensenlawoffice.com. They're new partners with us. We're excited to have them on board. The Jorgensen brothers are huge Tampa Bay fans. So if you're looking for an attorney that can help you with personal injury, with Social Security and disability, and also with workers' comp, Jorgensen Law is the place to turn. Give them a call at 727-347-7733 or visit them on the web at jorgensenlawoffice.com. The injury report, Matt, it's not really full of surprises outside of Emeka Egbuka, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody that's out for this game, Chris Godwin Jr., Luke Haggard, Bucky Irving, and Josh Williams, that was all expected to be. Also with talking to Todd Bowles during the week. Now, Josh Williams did practice on Saturday. He was in a non-contact jersey, so he might be a little bit closer to returning. But yes, no one else is really a surprise. Lavonte David did practice for the first time this week on Saturday, and we're at the point with Lavonte David. If he wants to play, he'll play. If he can't play, he won't. He really doesn't need to practice again for the entirety of the season. But yes, Emeka Egbuka was absolutely the biggest surprise seeing him out there on Saturday. It went from him not having a good chance to play at all to it now being a quite possibility that Emeka Egbuka will be lining up. So that'll only help his Rookie of the Year campaign if he can stay healthy, seeing him got through an injury like this, knowing that they have the bye week coming up in 2 weeks. So we'll see. But a healthier group for the Bucs, no doubt.
For sure. And also, too, there was another name on here we should mention. Teddy Bridgewater had an illness on Saturday, but he's expected to be the backup today. And, most injuries, you have to miss practice and stuff, and then the coaches evaluate. Teddy Bridgewater knows this offense by now. He's smart. He's played. He's played in Detroit. Hopefully the Buccaneers don't need him tonight. Let's preface that. But more than likely, whatever illness he had on Saturday has cleared up by Monday night. So and we saw Chase McLaughlin go out there with a cold and kick historic field goals, to beat the Eagles. So, or was that the Eagles game, or was that there was the Seahawks game that he was sick.
Yeah, right. Seattle. Yeah.
So again, backup quarterback, not expecting Teddy Bridgewater to play. Hopefully he doesn't, but he should be okay by tonight as well. So we'll see if Emeka Egbuka plays. He's certainly in play, and they will make that determination. But Mike Evans is expected to play. That's good. Lavonte David, if Lavonte David doesn't play tonight, Matt, or if he does play and kind of re-injures that knee or is playing sparingly, it'll be interesting to see how the Buccaneers attack third down, because typically they'll be in a nickel situation of 4-2-5, four down linemen, which you have your edge rushers, your 2 defensive tackles, your 2 linebackers, and your 5 defensive backs. Almost wonder if they won't deploy a little bit of dime in some third and long situations to get maybe Christian Izien on the field, or an extra cornerback, maybe using Zion McCollum as an extra safety. It's a position he's played, and you have Benjamin Morrison and Jamel Dean playing some corners. There's some different ways that Todd Bowles can attack this without necessarily having to maybe replace Leonard or Lavonte David with like Deion Jones, for example. That's an option as well. But Lavante's had some big games as a pass rusher, and when you look at the Lions' offensive line, they've got two new guards essentially. Christian Mahogany's in the second year; he's the left guard. Their right guard is Tate Ratledge, who played at Georgia last year. They're both really good against the run, but they're very suspect when it comes to pass protection. That's why the Lions love that 50-50 balance they have in offense, because they don't have to expose those young guards to pass protection, and they don't want Jared Goff to drop back 40 times in this game. They would love to be 25 times, maybe 30, and then run the ball at will. But we've seen Lavonte David come on those weak side blitzes and get to Jared Goff in the past. We've seen Todd Bowles with a lot of weak side blitzes. Winfield has a sack on a weak side blitz. Jamel Dean had a sack last week. Jacob Parrish. So we'll see if Todd Bowles decides to attack those guards with some blitzes, and typically we see those linebacker defensive back blitzed at the same time. One of those guys, the first guy in, takes the blocking back. The other guy comes free. And we've seen Servassier Dennis and Lavonte David play the role of, I'll take out the blocking back, and then the DB comes in and cleans up the quarterback. So I expect to see that a little bit tonight to really test those guards. I think Todd Bowles is hoping to get the Lions in those obvious pass situations where he can do that on third down.
Yeah, the Bucs have enjoyed and found success blitzing on the right side or the left side of the offensive line, the right side of where the defense is standing, and have been able to get to several different quarterbacks that way. And Lavonte David has shown, while he certainly isn't in his prime anymore, he can still make some splash plays, whether it was that interception against Seattle late in the game or being able to get to Mac Jones, nearly having a strip sack, but they said Mac Jones' shin was down, but it still counts as a sack for Tampa Bay. I would love to get Christian Izien more involved if the opportunity calls for it, like you are mentioning with if Lavonte has to come off the field, maybe go into dime and get Christian Izien out there. Because that was a big storyline for last game, is Christian Izien was healthy. He only played 2 defensive snaps. You can't argue with the results that Tampa Bay had, especially in that second half. But I do think Izien still has a chance to, be important to this team in several different ways, whether it's replacing one of the starting safeties or moving into the slot or whatever the case may be. And that could be one way to use it.
He certainly had a good game last year. Week 2, he had an interception in the red zone, was part of that Bucs defense that held the Lions to 1 of 7 in the red zone, had that key red zone interception in the fourth quarter, also had a turnover on downs in the fourth quarter in the red zone. So that was those were some huge key moments that Christian Izien was a part of. And I wrote about this on Friday in my SR's Fab 5 column. Jamel Dean came back with the splash. He made a scene, got the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. But Detroit has been a little bit of a house of horrors for Jamel Dean. If you remember in that NFC championship game, not championship game, the divisional playoff. Sorry, didn't want to put the Buccaneers in there just yet, hopefully this year. But in the NFC divisional playoff game, this was a pass to, I believe, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and it hit Jamel Dean right in the hands. Could have had an interception, an early interception that could have changed the whole complexity of that playoff game up there in Detroit. As it stands, this was on 3rd down. Lions kicked a field goal instead, took an early lead. I don't know that they relinquished that lead. If my memory serves, they didn't. The Bucs were kind of playing catch up the whole way. And then in that game, Jamel Dean didn't even finish. He hurt his back and left. This is the second time we've seen Jamel Dean in the Bucs' final playoff game, whether it was the Commanders last year or the Lions in 2023, not be able to finish a playoff game. And so Jamel Dean is having a fantastic year. Pro Football Focus is #1 rated corner. Let's hope he finishes the game first and foremost, but then has a good game. And also, too, we need to see Zion McCollum, who'll be playing with a little bit of a cast on his left hand. Mm-hmm. It won't be a wrist cast. It'll be more like a hand brace because he had thumb surgery, missed last week. But we talk about what could have been with that early Jamel Dean interception. Jamel Dean watched Zion McCollum have an interception in week 2 up there. And one of, I think, maybe Jared Goff's first pass of the game was picked off. And it really set the Buccaneers defense up for success. He had a fantastic game last year, only allowed 20 yards on 2 catches to Amon-Ra St. Brown, had 3 pass breakups, could have had another interception. But this early interception really kind of was a bit of a downward spiral for Jared Goff, who did not have a good game, got picked off twice. And Zion McCollum needs to have this type of game again to justify that big salary, and to do it on Monday night would be quite a feat for Zion.
Absolutely would. He's going to be chomping at the bit after missing last week's game. And something about big returns, see big moments like that. And the turnover battle, while important every single week, as we've seen with the Bucs, they have their recipe of win the turnover battle, win the football game. And that's why it was so big last season beating the Detroit Lions. And they don't turn the ball over that much. Jared Goff is I mean, he's a really good quarterback in this league, and he's smart with the football. Now, the Lions do like to get some trickery going on and do some silly plays. And we saw the Bucs take advantage of that against Seattle, where they had the Wildcat offense going, where they botched the pitch, and the Bucs were able to pounce on that. So maybe that's one way where the Bucs can, get Vita Vea disrupting in the backfield, and they're trying to run a lateral or something ridiculous, and then maybe the Bucs can create a turnover there, because the Lions will try to get creative, get tricky. I mean, they threw a pass to Jared Goff that was a touchdown last week. There was a penalty on the Lions on the play. So definitely something to look out for.
Yeah. Something else to look out for is the point spread. Let's take a look at that. Matt, I believe we're looking at Tampa Bay +6. Now, maybe the line has moved a little bit. I didn't check this morning. But what are your thoughts on this, presented by Splash Sports?
Yeah, shout out to Splash Sports. Get the best daily fantasy boost that you can over on Splash Sports. At one point it was +5.5, and now it's starting to go even more north. Now at +6. I got to be honest. I think this line is absolutely crazy. I mean, we're talking about the team with the best record in the NFC, and if they were to win this game, they would be tied for the best record in all of football. We're talking about, and again, the NFL, you can't look at it like with the college football rankings and stuff like that, but you look at quality opponents that the Bucs have defeated in the last 2 weeks. Seattle on the road at Seattle, and then, clobbering the 49ers, and we saw the 49ers bounce back on Sunday Night Football, defeating the Atlanta Falcons. To me, +6 is a very high number, and as I like Rice Bish says, disrespectful spread. This is disrespectful to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I agree. I would highly, highly, highly recommend taking the Bucs at +6.
Well, and actually, I just checked Hard Rock Bet app. I mean, different services have got different lines, but Hard Rock Bet app is back down to +5.5. So, but still, even that is disrespectful.
I would recommend money line as well, to be honest with everyone. And the over-under is pretty high, 52.5. But if you believe in Baker and what he's done and how Jared Goff is as a quarterback. I still like the over despite it being pretty high. But yeah, +6 to me is,
I know.
Wow.
Yeah, we have some super chats to get to, but first we want to acknowledge a couple of brand new Pewter Report TV channel members. Thank you so much, Brandon Hardman, for becoming a Pewter Report TV channel member, and also Ducky Irving. I love that name. That's fantastic. Thank you too for being a Pewter Report TV channel member. Greatly appreciate the support, guys.
And Chris Johnson as well. Thank you for being a Pewter Report YouTube channel member. So loving everybody joining Pewter Report TV.
Thank you.
Now on to the super chats. Thank you, Bucs Basement, for this $2. Says Cohen on 3rd and 4th is bad. He misses the Grizz.
Yeah, it certainly was the case yesterday. I took a sneak peek at that 3rd down conversion percentage against the Rams. Rams have a good defense, so let's start there.
They do. Yes.
Their defense is no joke. But maybe it was Liam Cohen, maybe it was Josh Grizzard. I don't know. We'll see how the Buccaneers fare on 3rd down before we get too ahead of things, because the Lions have a pretty stingy defense as well. And again, you like Tampa Bay with the arsenal of weapons they have. The whole key, the chess match that I think Josh Grizzard is going to have to play tonight, and he's fared quite well. I mean, essentially beat Mike McDonald up in Seattle, and then Robert Saleh last week, and we saw Robert Saleh's defense really do a great job of bottling up the Falcons in that 20-10 win. So that helped the Buccaneers last night.
It did.
But we'll see how this chess match goes against Kelvin Shepard, who's the new DC in Detroit. Crazy thing, Matt, about Detroit, just to give Dan Campbell his props. Ben Johnson leaves to go become a head coach, right?
Yeah.
Aaron Glenn leaves to go become a head coach. And their replacements, you wouldn't think that they're breaking in a new OC and DC this year, the way the Lions are playing on offense and defense. It's kind of like, it's like they never left.
That's very true. And it's not always an easy type of replacement. We saw with the Philadelphia Eagles the first time they won the Super Bowl or made it to the Super Bowl. Their coordinators leave. It took them a little bit to kind of bounce back. And they win the Super Bowl last year, and they've had some issues this season. But that really hasn't been the case for Detroit. So good on them. And of course, another big factor in this game is don't let Aidan Hutchinson take the game over.
That's right.
So
for sure,
big game for Charlie Heck will be needed as well. Bucs Basement with another super chat. This is $5. Thank you very much. Says, I can't stand people doubting the Bucs yet again. I don't even care to win this game, especially with the Falcons' loss. Beat the Saints next week.
Well, I mean, this is a big game because the Buccaneers and Lions could come down to a head-to-head tiebreaker. I think both these teams are going to be there at the end in the NFC, and maybe not at the very end, but certainly make the playoffs. Lions, it's interesting, Matt, because you would think, all right, well, they're in a little bit more of a jambalaya up there in the north because the Packers are good, the Vikings, are no slouch this year. Yeah. The Bears are very competitive. But again, to your point, I think you said it last week on the podcast, look out, the NFC South is not the chump change division it used to be. The Saints are still lowly, but the Fighting Dave Canales are now 4-3, right?
Yeah.
Aren't they? Don't they have a winning record now? And then the Falcons, they have, well, what are they now? They're 3-3, right? With the loss? Yeah, I think they're 3-3.
They're 3-3 because they had to buy.
But they're still right there, right? So, you have only one team below 500 right now, two teams above 500 in the division. So the NFC South is not as bad as it used to be. And we've kind of talked about this even dating back to the second half of last year. Look out for Carolina. Mm-hmm. They've got something going on. Dave's positive rays of sunshine will beam into your brain, and you just believe you're going to win. We saw that here in Tampa. We believe the running game will get going. We believe the offense will be better than Byron Leftwich, and they made the playoffs, and they beat the Eagles. I mean, Dave Canales is a good coach. All he needed was time, and it looks like he's right on track to getting the Panthers to maybe take over the Falcons, a team that they've already beaten a couple times now, and become a little bit of a threat to the Bucs.
Yeah, they finally won on the road, too. Previously, they had only won at home and gotten clobbered on the road. But also got to look out for Bryce Young. He got injured in that game against the Jets, so their backup had to finish. So we'll see. Jonas Correa, thank you for this $1.99 super chat, says the first jersey I owned was a Doug Martin one. Very popular player when he was here.
No doubt about it. A really good player, good running back, had 2 Pro Bowl seasons where he really showed out. So R.I.P. Doug Martin.
Yes, rest in peace indeed. Paul Bowen with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Says, looks like the Lions are going to have a case of the Mondays today because the Bucs are on a roll. Prepare to fire the cannons, everyone.
Yeah, I did a Pewter Pulse video on this game tonight, but also more so that even if whether the Bucs win or lose, and I'll put this in the chat so you guys can watch it after the show here. I thought it was one of my better Pewter Pulses in terms of topics, especially in season. And what it is it's this is a mentality thing for the Buccaneers, right? We know that they hope to win. They think they can win up here. They've won before. But when you have that expectation to win, that you're not going to win every game. I mean, only the Miami Dolphins and even in season, the Patriots have done that. But it's that expectation of, hey, we are the hunted instead of being the hunter. And the Buccaneers have been fantastic in being the hunter. They have climbed the hill. They've dug themselves in the hole. They found their confidence. They've caught teams like the Falcons from behind last year. They've won the division. But the one thing they really haven't been able to do, and they haven't been in this position very often, Matt, and that's why this is important. This team this year, how will they handle the expectations? It really kind of came on like a tidal wave this past week where they beat the 49ers, right? And the Lions lost and the Eagles lost again. And so now all of a sudden the Buccaneers are atop the NFC. And all these players are having more and more appearances on Up and Adams and NFL Network and Pat McAfee and ESPN. And now that the chance for distractions can set in.
Yeah.
And we'll see how the Buccaneers can handle tonight all of the expectation and being the talk of the town, the media darling, all of that stuff. We'll see how they can handle being the front runner in the NFC tonight. Because if they beat the Lions, and to me, I think the best 2 teams in the NFC right now are the Bucs and the Lions. And I think the Eagles are a notch below that. But if they can beat the Lions in their den tonight, that's a huge mental hurdle that shows me this team has the maturity to handle all of the praise, all of the expectations, and just say, okay, we've gone from being the hunter to the hunted, get the bullseye on our back, and we accept the challenge, and we're going to play like we are the supreme team in the NFC.
And what's good too is the Bucs are at a point, especially with some of their recent wins, where no matchup is scary for them anymore.
Yes,
like last year, I'm sure there was a lot of, oh my God, we beat the Lions. We actually did it. We beat the Lions. If they're able to do that tonight on Monday Night Football, it's not going to be, oh my goodness, we beat the Lions. It's like, yeah, we thought we were going to beat the Lions.
We knew we were going to beat the Lions.
Yeah, we knew we were going to beat the Lions, and we can match up with any team in this league, whether it's Buffalo, who they'll see, LA as well, who they'll see. This is the new and improved Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I agree.
It's good to see. Bulam Seba with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Says, RIP Doug Martin. Bucs will show they are a Super Bowl contender if they want the top to be at the top of the NFC and host 2 playoff games. Get to the Super Bowl when the Cavalry is back. I see 14-3 or 13-4.
If they win tonight, 14 wins is not out of the question, unless just the bottom falls out of this team with injuries. If they lose tonight, the season's not over. It just means that it's not right now, right? It kind of like 2002 for you old timers. They lost at Philadelphia against the Eagles. Like, okay, we know how to beat them now. And they won back there in Philadelphia in the playoffs, of course, and went to the Super Bowl. So, and I think they've done that before with other teams. You lose early, okay, fine, no big deal. And you win the rematch, etc. That happens on Monday Night Football. They lost in Week 3 to the Eagles, and then the rematch later that year in the wild card game, they waxed them. So it's not fatal if they lose tonight. The Lions are a good team. They're really good at home. They average 31.8 points per game, but that number is 43 at home. They average over 120 yards rushing per game between Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. That number is 143 at home. So this is a very tough team to beat up here in Detroit. So if they lose tonight, And I don't think they're going to, but if they lose tonight, it's not the end of the world. It just
Yeah,
means,
there's no
okay,
shame in it.
it's not, we can't beat them. It just means didn't beat them on Monday night. But maybe
Right.
that happens again in the playoffs. And there's still time, even though they would lose this head-to-head tiebreaker in the playoff situation, still time for the Buccaneers to still get home field advantage. Because again, the
Yeah.
Lions might have a tougher road down the stretch, especially in their division.
Yeah, and they have other wins against NFC teams, which helps as well. Jordy Peterson, thank you for this 1999 super chat. Says, been out for 2 weeks on my honeymoon. Well, congrats to you.
Congratulations
Congrats on your on getting married, and hopefully you had a fantastic honeymoon.
Yeah.
So I've missed so much Bucs content and games. Happy to see we are 5-1 tonight. We can take a firm hold on the NFC South and start our contention for the number 1 spot. Let's go, Bucs.
Yeah, shifting to the NFC South, again, with the Falcons losing, Panthers did get a win. Saints got another loss. But one thing that's important is the Buccaneers from week 1 have been in control of the NFC South. And I mean, what an enviable position to be in. And if this team can go wire to wire as the NFC South champions, end up sweeping the Falcons, or if they're unlucky in those creamsicle games in week 15, they've stacked enough NFC wins and NFC South wins against the Panthers, against the Saints, to where you lose that game, you split with the Falcons, it didn't matter in the end. You still have the lead. That would be ideal.
Yeah, totally. And win tonight is big because it keeps you 2 games ahead of Carolina. And I think, like, Carolina, they're better at home. They can beat the bad teams like the Jets, obviously, who have yet to win a game this season. But I don't see Carolina getting upset wins the way that, like, Atlanta beat the Bills last week. And maybe Atlanta got the Bills at the right time because they had slipped against the Patriots, and looks like they're kind of going through something right now. But I don't see the Panthers having good games against some of the upper level teams. So it could be a situation where, while Atlanta is behind Carolina, they're still more of a threat to Tampa Bay. And the Bucs already have that head-to-head matchup advantage as well. And we'll see, again, the creamsicle game later on in the season. But it's a good start in the NFC South for the Bucs. Tyler Lovell, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, Tez touchdown, Tesla touchdown, Baker 20 rush yards, Montgomery 60 rush yards, Laporta 70 receiving yards. That's 201 odds. Thoughts? I feel like the Tez touchdown is a little bit tougher now with Ibuka coming back, and of course Mike Evans in there. Everything else I think is fine. I think Laporta certainly can have a big game. Tight ends typically play well against the Bucs defense. And Montgomery, it's kind of a roll of the dice between him and Jahmyr Gibbs as well. So that one's probably a little bit risky, but overall, I don't hate it.
Yeah, exactly.
And Marcos, thank you for the $4.99 super chat, says, if Bake shows out in prime time away against the Lions, he's going to skyrocket as MVP leader. So get those bets in. Get those bets in.
I know.
Before the odds change again.
I'm with you on that for sure.
Then we have another Pewter Report YouTube channel member, Lucas Crane. Thank you for joining Pewter Report TV. We love to see it. We appreciate it. Thank you for joining our YouTube channel.
Yeah. Jason Milton, Ace Frehley passed away. Scott is a Kiss fan. R.I.P. dude. Yeah, that one hurt, man. That really hurt. I dressed up as Ace Frehley when I was 6 years old for Halloween. Had like the little plastic mask with the little rubber band strap that you had back in the 70s. Yeah, that one hurt. I lost a lot of rock heroes this year. Ozzy Osbourne, of course, John Sykes, who was the key Whitesnake guitarist for that classic 1987 Whitesnake album, Still of the Night. Here I Go Again, Is This Love? All those songs he co-wrote with David Coverdale. Yeah, this has not been a great rock year because a lot of rock legends have passed. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, R.I.P. Ace Frehley, obviously a legend in Kiss. I'm also a big fan of his song "Back in the New York Groove," which is very popularized, of course, in New York. They played after the Mets win at Citi Field, and so I always think of that. I always think of him when I hear that song. So I'm just letting Ace Frehley.
Yeah, for sure. Dr. Rivera dressed up as Ace and Paul. Yeah. When Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons die, I'm going to cry like a little bitch. I'm just letting you all know it's going to be, because I mean, as much as I love Ace, and I do, I've got like a little Ace Frehley, like miniature replica guitar of his famous Les Paul over there on my little desk. But yeah, Kiss was my band. Destroyer was my first album. My mom was cool enough to buy me when I was literally 5 years old. She heard it and she regretted it, especially God of Thunder. She's like, what the hell did I buy you? But yeah, Kiss was a phenomenon in the 70s growing up. You had to be there, but great stuff. Well, let's get to some of our key matchups here, Matt, because this is a game that has some really interesting key matchups, right? Especially on the offensive side. Charlie Heck versus Aidan Hutchinson. I dropped in the chat earlier kind of a blueprint, a game plan that our own Josh Capo has devised for Josh Grizard to read. And I'll text it to him. I'm sure Josh already has the game plan in, but it's a great read. It's basically, hey, do what the Steelers did to Myles Garrett to Aidan Hutchinson. But Matt, when you look at this matchup, Charlie Heck and Justin School, it was different than it was a year ago because Justin School literally had practices 2 days, and then he had to start his first game for Luke Gedeke at right tackle. We've seen Charlie Heck now play for weeks at right tackle and kind of get his feet wet. And after the 3 sacks out of the 4.5 in the first quarter, it's like Liam Cohen really kind of adjusted and said, okay, we're going to give Charlie Heck some help. We might not see Cade Otton much as a receiver in this game because he and Payne Durham are going to have to help block. But
yeah,
this is as big as it gets. And on paper, mano a mano, it has to be Aidan Hutchinson, right?
Yeah, if it's one-on-one, it's Aidan Hutchinson. And that's not even anything against Charlie Heck, who has played better and better as the season has gone on. But we're talking about one of the best edge rushers and pass rushers in the game. And Bucs Basement has a $2 super chat on this topic. Thank you very much. Who says Heck just has to not be School 2.0. Yeah, I mean, if the Bucs don't allow 5 sacks in this game, it's certainly a win for Tampa Bay. And I think we're going to see a lot of different looks for Aidan Hutchinson in terms of, maybe there'll be some of Charlie Heck against him. You don't want that to happen too many times, but they'll keep Payne Durham over there. They'll keep Cade Otton over there. I think we'll get some chips from Rachaad White as well. And of course, Sean Tucker, if he's in the game. I think that's one of the best things to kind of slow down and subdue an edge rusher is not just block him the same type of way, because now he's got to be thinking of different things. Maybe another pulling offensive lineman on a pass play to disguise it a little bit more of trying to get after Aidan Hutchinson as well. So if it's one-on-one, the answer is Aidan Hutchinson. But in terms of trying to overall protect him, I'm still confident in the Bucs and Baker to come up with the right game plan. I agree.
Now, here's one little caveat, because not a lot of fans have heard this name, but I want to put it out there because there's a chance Aidan Hutchinson also plays a fair amount on the left side against Tristan Wirfs. And I mean, the left side of the Bucs offensive line, it'd be the right side for the Lions defensive line. And so you might sit there and say, okay, well, why would Dan Campbell and Kelvin Shepherd waste snaps with their best pass rusher going up against like the best left tackle in the game in Tristan Wirfs? Well, because the Buccaneers have been running to their left an awful lot. Think about those touchdowns, the touchdown in Seattle, the Sean Tucker touchdown last week. Those have been off to the left side. Aidan Hutchinson not only is their best pass rusher, he's also the best player they have in stopping the run with his toughness, his relentless style. He's got more tackles for loss than any other Lions defender. So you don't want to sit there and say, okay, well, if you're going to line up Charlie Heck and Aidan Hutchinson all day long, if that's the matchup you want, Lions, we're just going to run to the left away from Aidan Hutchinson. And so in maybe first downs, you're going to see Aidan Hutchinson spend some time against Tristan Wirfs. And even though that might be a stalemate and a win for the Buccaneers, if that's the case, that's where you might see you might see Baker Mayfield audible to more pass plays at the line of scrimmage when Aidan Hutchinson is matched up against Tristan Wirfs. So that's something to look for. Watch tonight, Baker Mayfield go to the line of scrimmage, do a can, which means he's going to audible and check out of maybe a run play or maybe a certain pass play on first or second down if he sees Aidan Hutchinson camped out on his blind side with Tristan Wirfs. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing to keep in mind, too, a lot of Bucs fans haven't heard this name. Al-Quadin Mohammed has replaced Marcus Davenport at the other defensive end spot. And you think, well, who's this guy? Well, he has 4.5 sacks. 4.5 sacks and 4 tackles for loss. Bucs fans may not know this name, but hopefully they don't know it tonight. But he's the opposite guy. And so when you have Aidan Hutchinson having all that attention and you're the other bookend, sometimes you get those favorable matchups. So even if Aidan Hutchinson's over there, Charlie Heck might have a challenge against Al-Quadin Muhammad tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to get different looks from the Lions throughout the game, whether it's on the defensive line, at linebacker, or in the secondary as well. So we'll see how it looks. But next up, Bucs receivers against the Lions secondary. I think we're all in agreement with the Lions not having any of their starters in the secondary, and Mike Evans returning, and hopefully Emeka Egbuka is able to play. It's got to be Bucs receivers all day. This has to be a matchup that the Bucs are able to take advantage of. And I think it kind of goes hand in hand with what we were just talking about. If they're able to stop Aidan Hutchinson and lay off the pressure of the Detroit Lions, this has to be an advantage for the Bucs, whether it's Tez Johnson, whether it's Cameron Johnson, or some of the big dogs getting it done with Evans and Egbuka. But, this is why I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, why I think Baker Mayfield's going to go over on a lot of his numbers. It's because of this matchup right here. Right there.
I agree. And one of the things I wrote about in my SR's Fab 5, and I'll drop that in the chat so you can read it too, is the chess match that we might see tonight, especially maybe in some 4-receiver sets, which really Liam Cohen hardly used last year. We haven't really seen it too much, but we might even see Josh Grizzard go empty a little bit in this game, maybe out of 11 personnel, which is 3 receivers, a tight end, and a back. We saw that in Pittsburgh when the starters played. We saw Bucky Irving matched up on the outside against the linebacker. That was Peyton Wilson right there. And it was a red zone fade touchdown, I think, of about 20 yards. Don't be surprised if we see that this week, tonight, with Rachaad White, who is an incredible receiver in his own right, has enough speed to beat a linebacker, has enough size to beat a cornerback. But a little risky because you don't want to sit there and necessarily go empty against Aidan Hutchinson. But if you're operating out of shotgun and you're going to throw a quick fade pass, Aidan Hutchinson's not going to have time to get there. So to me, this might be a strategy. We might see empty a couple of times. And why? Because Josh Grizzard might want to get the Lions out of their base defense, which is 3 linebackers. It's a 4-3, and into a nickel defense because their secondary is nothing but backups anyways right now. Try to get another backup cornerback on the field and have either strong safety Derek Barnes or strong side linebacker Derek Barnes or weak side linebacker Alex Anzalone off the field. And that could open things up for the running game too, running against a lighter box. So I wouldn't be surprised with the Emeka Egbuka returning and Mike Evans if we see some strategic use of 4 wide receivers and maybe some empty tonight, Matt.
And even if the receivers aren't open on the play, Baker could always just tuck it and run too. So it's not like
he actually scored on.
He did
on that quarterback draw last year in the red zone. So there it is right there. So a lot of interesting wrinkles we could see from Josh Grizzard tonight.
This next matchup, speaking of Baker Mayfield, is Baker against middle linebacker Jack Campbell, and this is an interesting one because I'm a big fan of the Lions linebackers overall. But when Baker Mayfield's playing at an MVP level and he has an extra day to watch the tape, and we've seen him so comfortable in knowing what he needs to check to or whatever the case may be based on what he sees from the defense to get the offense in the best situation. And that's when you see those wide open touchdowns for Cameron Johnson. It's hard to pick against a guy that is playing at an MVP level. So I won't. So I'll go with Baker Mayfield.
I'm going Baker Mayfield here too. Again, because of maybe trying to get the Lions out of their base defense with some calls, with some personnel usage, the chess match you're alluding to, Matt. Also, too, the ability to make you miss. Jack Campbell's got sideline to sideline speed. So if Baker does break the pocket, can he make someone like Jack Campbell miss? Sometimes we'll see Baker Mayfield 5 yards down the line or past the line of scrimmage do a pump fake, right? and still be effective. So this will be a bit of a chess match, but also a little bit of athleticism. When Baker Mayfield breaks the pocket, is Jack Campbell going to be spying or is he going to be in coverage? One thing about Campbell, very good linebacker. He can rush the passer. He's got 2 sacks this year. He can force fumbles. Giving up 4 touchdowns in zone coverage this year. So maybe we'll see Baker manipulate Campbell with his eyes and throw behind him for a touchdown. But yeah, I'm with you on this. Baker Mayfield all the way.
Baker, the touchdown maker.
Yeah.
One player that's going to be protecting Baker Mayfield is the right guard position. We'll see who ends up starting in that right guard position. But the Bucs right guard against Aidan McNeil, who is returning after being on injured reserve. Very talented defensive tackle and a threatening defensive tackle in this game. Scott, what do you see in this matchup?
I'm going to go with Aidan McNeil. He's just the proven guy. Now, here's the caveat, right? You might sit there and say, oh, well, there wasn't a practice squad elevation yesterday. Well, the caveat is for teams playing on Monday night, they don't have to elevate until 4 p.m. the day of the game. So don't be surprised if at 4 o'clock, if we see a practice squad elevation for Michael Jordan, the guard who was coming back from a knee injury. He was hurt in week 2. Remember, he started the first 2 games at left guard. When the Bucs were reshuffling their offensive line. But if that happens at 4, then Michael Jordan will be the starting right guard in this game. If we don't see that, that means that they don't feel like he was ready to go physically, and probably Elijah Klein, who filled in for Luke Haggard for the fourth quarter, he might be the guy with Dan Feeney as the backup. But keep an eye on pewterreport.com at 4 o'clock. We'll have any practice squad elevations, and there might be another one too. Probably at running back, you might see Owen Wright come up again. That seems to be likely, but that's something to keep an eye on.
Aidan McNeil will have to knock the rust off a little bit, but once he gets it going, it's going to be tough for Tampa Bay. I do like that they have options, whether it's Michael Jordan, whether it's Elijah Klein, whether it's Dan Feeney. So I do like that the Bucs have a couple of options that they can go with where, all right, if it's not working out, they can just go to the next person. But as we've seen, Klein was able to come in last game. He started in that game against the Jets. It's not like the moment will be too big for him, but, we're talking about a pretty good defensive tackle right there. But the last matchup we have between the Bucs offense and the Lions defense is now starting running back Rachaad White versus the Lions outside linebackers. And it seems Rachaad White has gotten better and better in his 2 matchups where he's been able to be the starting running back, but he's going to be a guy that does a little bit of everything for this team. Maybe it'll be more in the passing game today, maybe continues to reach the end zone on the ground. He has 3 rushing touchdowns in his last 2 games, but Rachaad White becoming a Swiss Army knife for this team.
For sure, and it's going to be important that Rachaad not only runs hard tonight like he has the last 2 weeks, is that red zone threat down there, scoring touchdowns in the low red zone, but then also, beating guys like Alex Anzalone and Derek Barnes out of the backfield on screen passes, swing passes, wheel routes, fade routes, whatever Josh Grizzard wants to deploy. And then also in pass protection, too. The Lions will blitz their linebackers. Jack Campbell has 2 sacks. Derek Barnes has 2 sacks. Alex Anzalone has a sack and a half. So it's being that blindside pass protector. It's chipping Aidan Hutchinson when Josh Grizzard wants to get Cade Otton out in a route. It's being that guy that can protect Baker Mayfield. So I would say this week more than ever, probably more on Rachaad White's plate than any week he's played so far. But this guy's a pro's pro. He's up to the task. I'm going to give it a push, though, because I do have a lot of respect, like you, Matt, for the Lions outside linebackers. We saw Derek Barnes end the Buccaneers' dreams of that comeback and the playoff loss in 2023 with an interception of Baker Mayfield. So I'm going to give this a push, but I expect a really good game from Rachaad White tonight.
Before we get over to the Bucs defense against the Lions offense, we got a couple more super chats to get to. Thank you to Lucas Crane, who just became a Pewter Report YouTube channel member, for this $10 super chat. Says, I love the way Todd has coached this year. I heard he brought in an assistant to help with the clock management. Do you guys think that has freed him up a bit more as a play caller?
I don't know that it's been that so much, because sometimes when he's really done a good job of strategically using those key timeouts has been when the Bucs are on offense, right? Knowing when to call timeout, when to let the clock run and bleed out, and get in field goal position or get in the red zone. So maybe, I just think that he's become a better head coach and a better game manager because of Zach Beislein helping him. And they go through these strategies, and it's helped Todd understand when to go for 2, when to kick the field goal, when to punt, when to play defense, when to go for it on offense. I can't think of any bad calls in terms of game management that Todd Bowles has had, and we're what, 6 games into the season, man.
Right. I don't think it has as much of an impact on what he's dialing up defensively, although it has worked out in most cases. It's more of those, do you go for it? Do you not go
Yeah,
for it? Do you call the timeout? Do you wait to call the timeout? That's where Zach Beislein has had the biggest impact, and in case the biggest impact with Todd Bowles as well. So definitely super important. I wouldn't say necessarily freeing him up as a play caller, but
yeah,
freeing him up with the decisions that he's decided to go with.
for sure.
And Eddie Harada, thank you for the $2 super chat, says, glad y'all enjoyed that Stone Cold Baker photo. Yeah, shout out
Yeah,
to you, Eddie. Shout out to our guy, Jay Retcher, as well, clipping that snippet of
for
talking
sure.
about Baker and Stone Cold. So
Yep, good
great
stuff.
photo for sure.
For sure. And great stuff coming your way at 7 o'clock tonight. That's right. It's the early doubleheader. So we get the treat again of not having to wait till 8:20 to watch this game. It's 7 o'clock. Pewter Game Day kicks off. So don't listen to the biased broadcasts. Obviously, watch the game on TV along with Matt and Daniel Daniel Morales. But you've got the opportunity to get the insight. Matt's in that locker room every single day, talking to the players, getting the insight, watching practice. So what better way to enjoy tonight's game than with Pewter Game Day? Daniel Morales, Matt Matera, with the coverage, with the reactions, with the excitement that you need tonight. This is going to be a hyped up game. I'm sure Matt is well rested and is going to be hyped tonight as well. So 7 o'clock here on Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel, where you can watch it live on X or Facebook at Pewter Report. And then a reminder tonight, probably in the neighborhood of 10:30, after Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield speak at the podium. We're going to be live with Bucs at Lions post-game podcast. This is a huge game, Monday Night Football prime time, battle of two NFC Titans, and the return of Mike Evans. So join us, win or lose, tonight at around 10:30, and we'll have a tremendous Bucs at Lions post-game podcast for you. I'm excited about tonight's game. I'm excited to talk about it with you guys after the game.
Plenty to talk about between the Pewter Game Day show and, of course, the Pewter Post Game podcast. So hopefully you can all join us. And as we turn our attention to the Bucs defense against the Lions offense, this first matchup, Vita Vea against right guard Tate Ratledge. We talked about the Lions having some newcomers along the interior offensive line, and we're talking about one of the best defensive tackles in the league. I think it's very important for Vita Vea to have a big game, one of his best games. He's been good all season long. But in terms of disrupting the rhythm and timing of Jared Goff, and you want to get him running like he is
right.
In that situation, the Bucs are going to win and have a good defensive performance. I think we're going to hear Vita Vea's name a lot.
I totally agree with you, Matt. I like this matchup for sure. And again, Bucs fans, understand that Todd Bowles will blitz the Lions on first down in case there's a play action pass. He's going to have an extra defender coming at Jared Goff. But more importantly, stop the Lions, win first down. If you win first down and don't allow Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery to get going, then you have a greater chance of getting the Lions into third and long. And that's when you might see one of those Vita Vea pancakes of an offensive lineman like Tate Ratledge, the rookie. Neither he nor Christian Mahogany are very good in pass protection. So this would be primetime Vita Vea winning and stopping the run on first down and then getting after Jared Goff on third down by maybe pancaking one of these guards.
Hassan Reddick against right tackle Penei Sewell. Sewell, of course, is in the conversation with Tristan Wirfs, who now plays left tackle, is one of the best offensive tackles in the league. It was good for the Bucs edge rushers to finally get into that backfield last game after a slow beginning following week one.
Yeah.
Don't know if Hassan Reddick can stack it, though, with this game against Penei Sewell. But how do you see it, Scott?
Well, I'm going to give Penei Sewell just the respect here. What really concerns me is the run game, right? I mean, I don't have any illusions that maybe Hassan Reddick is going to get a sack against Penei Sewell because that's just
no one gets a sack.
No one gets a sack against him. But the thing is, though, is can he hold up against the run? He's 240 pounds, and we know that the Lions will love to run the ball. And that seems like a strength versus weakness here. Penei Sewell, the strength, Hassan Reddick. Not that he's not weak against the run, but just from a sheer size standpoint, he can get overpowered in the run game. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a little Hassan Reddick at the linebacker level tonight, Matt, with maybe Chris Braswell or Logan Hall, playing a little bit of edge in the situation just to help on first downs and not have that matchup be a detriment to Tampa Bay. But I like Penei Sewell.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup. Very intriguing matchup is Servase Dennis, the Bucs starting inside linebacker, opposite of Levante David, against running back Jahmyr Gibbs. And obviously the Lions like to rotate their running back situation with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery as well. But Gibbs is a little bit more of the heavy hitter, a little bit more capable of having that explosive play, ripping off a 40-yard run or whatever the case may be. Servase Dennis is getting better and better week by week. I'm going to give the nod to Gibbs on this one, while also understanding that Dennis has closed the gap a lot more in terms of how he's played. But Gibbs can do some special stuff. Hopefully he doesn't hurt the Bucs too much tonight.
I'm with you. I think Gibbs probably wins this matchup, but Servase Dennis did play very well in week 2. Had a couple of great open field tackles at Jahmyr Gibbs and was instrumental in that 20-16 win. I believe Servase Dennis had 12 tackles in that game. That was his career high. Yeah. So it's not impossible for Dennis to have a great game tonight. He's trending up, but again, the key matchup is, can you avoid getting Jahmyr Gibbs one-on-one with Servase Dennis if you're Todd Bowles? They did a good job of playing more zone and preventing that with Christian McCaffrey last week. We'll see what the game plan is tonight, but I'm going to give the slight edge to Gibbs there. Zion McCollum, Matt, 2 interceptions on the season last year. One of those happened in Detroit early in the season. Should have had 2 in that game, versus Amon-Ra St. Brown, who has been a Buck killer, whether it be in Tampa or whether it be in Detroit. But last year, when he was matched up with Amon-Ra St. Brown, it was a little bit of a different story. Only 2 catches for 20 yards in this particular matchup. The Lions are going to move Amon-Ra St. Brown a lot. He'll see action against the nickel corner, Jacob Parrish. He'll see action against Jamel Dean. But you know what? The Bucs have their full complement of cornerbacks tonight. Jamel Dean, Benjamin Morrison, Zion McCollum, Jacob Parrish. Their top 4 corners are going to be in play. How do you like this one?
I see it as a push because St. Brown is better than his performance of what he had against the Bucs a season ago. But at the same time, I do think having a week off will actually do some good for Zion McCollum. Not as he's banged up, obviously, with what's going on with his thumb and his hand injury. But 1 week where he didn't have to be moving the legs all the time. So I think the speed will be on display for Zion. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a great route runner. Hopefully Zion could get an interception, but this is going to be a fun back and forth matchup all game long. So I see it as a push.
I see it as a push too. Tyke Smith, strong safety, having a really good season versus tight end Sam Laporta. Now Laporta is going to see a lot of different matchups. You're going to see him matched up against linebackers. You're going to see him matched up against the nickel corner, Jacob Parrish. There'll be some times where it'll be Antoine Winfield Jr. rotating down into the box, into the slot, and taking him on. But he'll have some matchups with Tyke Smith as well. How do you see this matchup? And do you like this matchup? I remember Tyke Smith shutting down Brock Bowers when the Bucs played the Raiders and even getting an interception in the red zone last year. But Sam Laporta is one of the best receiving tight ends in the NFL.
Yeah, I look at it more as like the Bucs' whole defense against Sam Laporta and just the tight end in general, and the way that tight ends on other teams have been able to take advantage of Tampa Bay. Again, I'm not even really exclusively calling out Tyke Smith, but just the way that the tight ends have been so successful against the Bucs, I got to go with Sam Laporta in this matchup, even though it will be Levante on him. It could be Antoine Winfield Jr. Tyke Smith has been great. He's made some effective plays. Jeagle's a big fan of Tyke, saying that Tyke's going to get a pick in this game, but I just see how much the tight ends have hurt the Bucs defense really over the last 2 seasons. So I'm going to go with Laporta.
I'm going to go with the push. I think Todd Bowles has seen Laporta enough where he'll have a game plan for him. Again, it's just going to be, situationally, do you have the right defender on Laporta at the right time and the right play call on the right situation, right? There's a lot of things that have to go right, but I think Todd Bowles has got a beat on this Lions offense now, having played it. This will be the 4th time in 3 years. So I'm going to go with the push. I'm going to give Todd and the Bucs defense some credit here. Eddie Herrera says, let's 62 likes only. Come on, people. Let's go. Hey, listen, the more that you like this video and the more comments we get, even after the video is over, the podcast is over, the more it helps Buccaneer fans see our Pewter Reports podcasts, or in this case, the Pewter pregame show. So please do us a favor, hit the like button, give us a thumbs up. Also, leave a comment. We love reading your comments, and doing those things helps us with the YouTube algorithm, gets our videos out in front of more awesome Bucs fans like you. That's what I say in my Pewter Pulse videos. I'll say it in this one too. So please help us out. You guys have been great. Thank you for all of our new Pewter Report TV channel members and for our subscribers. Subscribing is free. Just hit the subscribe button on Pewter Report TV. We're on the way to 22,000 thanks to you guys. We're already at 21,500 and counting. So rapid growth thanks to you.
Yeah, appreciate everybody for the support. Just a reminder again, one more time, we got the Pewter Game Day show coming up tonight at 7 o'clock. Myself and Daniel Morales doing play-by-play, giving our thoughts, reactions to everything going on in Bucs and Lions. We keep it super interactive with everybody in the chat as well. So we'll get to see your name pop up on the screen as well if you're rocking with us. And then we'll have the Pewter post-game show coming up after that around 10:30, 10:45, whenever the game ends. And we speak to everyone as well. So in the meantime, if you're not already doing so, please make sure you're following us on all of our social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram. We are at Pewter Report, and our YouTube channel is Pewter Report TV. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment on this video as well. Tell us what you think is going to happen in the game or what your score prediction might be. So that's going to do it for us on today's show. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks everybody for watching. And we'll see you later for another edition of the Pewter Pregame Show. Out.